Roadies, Real Heroes was the 17th season of the Indian reality show Mtv Roadies, which premiered on NTV on February 10, 2019. Returning gang leaders Prince Narula, Nikhil Chinapa, Neha Dhupia and Raftaar were joined by new arrival Sandeep Singh. Rannvijay Singh continued to serve as a mentor and host, while Divya, Agarwal and Varun Sood played the role of Roadies Insiders. Basir Ali hosted the Voot segments, and was joined by Shruti Sinha. The contestants had to get at least 4 votes from the gang leaders, while Rannvijay had a special power that could send a selected contestant straight to the journey. He also had the right to vote and had 2 votes, if he wanted the contestant to proceed to the next round. Male, female. This season, a few contestants were already chosen to be on the journey called the Real Heroes. Male, female. Direct entries Real Heroes, Milind, Bidhan and Bargsethu. What? Nikita, Avil and Rachel. Total, 25. Male equals 13. Female equals 12. Battleground was an online selection process in which participants were given various tasks to perform to get shortlisted. 4 contestants, Arun, Chopsy, Rahul, and Rashmeet, were shortlisted for the final battle to earn a chance on the Roadies journey. They all entered in episode 20 where they battled in a gang task and individually for a spot in the journey. Arun won the gang task and joined while Rahul was eliminated. Rashmeet won against Nikita in individual task to go on the journey while Chopsy lost against Avil and was eliminated. Before the task began, gang leaders had to vote to give a disadvantage to one of their opponents. With 2 votes, Prince had the disadvantage of coming first in the task. Roadies had to rescue their choice of gang leader. The first 2 to be free would win the task. Before the task, the Real Heroes were allowed to choose their gang. The 2 winners of the first task competed in this task. Prince and Raftaar had to choose 5 Roadies to compete in the task, including their already existing gang members. Bargsethu chose Raftaar, Milind chose Neha and Bidhan chose Prince as their gang leaders. Raftaar won the task and got a chance to fill his gang. He chose Xerxes and Arukshi to join his team. Before the task, the unsafe Roadies had to divide themselves into 2 teams. 1 member from each gang would be in a cage and she had to roll the cage and break the pots inside. The balls would come out when the pots broke. Another member would collect them and pass it to 2 of their team members who had tennis rackets in their hands. They will try to hit the ball to the opponent's nets. 3 boys will be wearing lungi and protecting their nets from the other team's balls. The team that had hit more balls to the nets would win. Team A won the task and were immune. Gang leaders had to choose 1 roadie from the losing team in the 3rd task to compete in this task, including one of their already existing gang members. They had to solve some mathematical equations in which some hints were missing. Those hints were in a pot. One of the members would go into the ring and break the pots held by skilled Kalarippayattu warriors who would be constantly moving sticks and be blindfolded. They had to break those pots held by the Kalarippayattu artists and collect the missing objects to solve the equation. The team which solved the equations first would win. Neha and Prince won the task in 1st and 2nd place respectively. As Neha won the task, she was allowed to choose 1 roadie to join her gang. She chose Tara, and to send 1 roadie into another gang of her choice. She chose Tarun and sent him to Sandeep's gang. As Prince came in 2nd place in the task, he had the power to choose 1 roadie into his gang. He chose Ankita. Before the task, the 12 unsafe roadies had to divide themselves in 3 teams. They had to find some clues from the local market, to then solve the obstacles and collect flags. The team that collected 2 flags would win. Team C won the task and were immune. All the gang leaders had to choose a team of 4 roadies, including at least 2 from their existing gang, except Sandeep who only had Tarun in his gang. Sandeep was out first, then Raftaar, and finally Neha. In the last round, Nikhil defeated Prince. Nikhil and Prince won the task and placed 1st and 2nd place respectively. As Nikhil won the task, he received the power to complete his gang from the winners of the previous task, Team C. He chose Lakshya, Priya, and Simran. As Prince came in 2nd place in the task, he received the power to complete his gang from the remaining members of Team C and the unsafe roadies. He chose Gaurav and Yurti. Following Preeti's removal, Sandeep and Neha had to fill their female roadie spots in their gangs. Sandeep chose Sahiba and Chetna. Neha was forced to pick Punjab. After the removal of Krishna, gang leaders blocked Sohail to get into any gang as a power given to them, so Ashish went into Sandeep's gang. Rannvijay played the Joker card, declared Sohail as Joker and said that he would join them in the journey, not in any gang, but with him. He would join a random gang on a task as per the rule of that specific task. Before the task began, gang leaders had to vote for one gang leader to not compete in this task. With 3 votes, Nikhil did not get to compete in this task. But their group got to decide the order of performance of the gangs. The dummy in each gang would automatically be immune. Sohail, as Joker, got the chance to choose a gang to compete with. Gang Prince won the task and won immunity for the gang. As Prince won immunity in the last task, they did not participate in this task. But they got to decide the order of performance of the gangs. Sandeep won the task and earned 2 immunities. In this task, the gangs, along with their gang leaders, had to perform an act which had to include some special scenes. Divya Agarwal joined as the chief judge along with host Rannvijay. The Joker had a choice to perform for any gang and he chose Raftaar's gang. Nikhil's gang performed first, followed by Raftaar, Neha, Prince, and Sandeep. Raftaar won the task and won immunity for the whole team, including the Joker Sohail. In the task, one member from each gang had to perform this task. The roadie had to collect all the flags from 4 dinghies which were moving in the water in a speedboat. The roadie had to jump from one dinghy to another and collect all the flags along with their carabiner. The team which collected more flags would win. Before the start of the task, each gang leader had the power to deduct 1 flag from her team's collected flags. Raftaar, being the winner of the last task, didn't perform in this task. Nikhil, with 2 disadvantages, lost 2 flags from his total while the rest had 1 flag deducted. Gang Neha won the task and 2 immunities. Gang Prince came second and won 1 immunity. Neha gave immunities to Milind and Tara while Prince gave immunity to Pitaai. The unsafe roadies voted out Punjab, while the safe roadies voted out Tarun. Rollungi was replaced by the Joker Sohail, who joined Sandeep's gang. Rashmeet, Varun, Shruti, and Rahul entered as Battleground finalists. In this task, the Battleground finalists had to choose one gang to take part. That Battleground finalist and gang had to collect rice from the local houses at the expense of some objects provided to them. The gang that came first would get full gang immunity and the Battleground finalists that came first will get a direct entry. The Battleground finalists that come second and third would have to compete again, and the Battleground finalists that came fourth would be eliminated. Before the start of the task, each Battleground finalist had to guess the price of a car from Dirum.in, and the closest guess would get an advantage. Rashmeet guessed the closest and, as the advantage, she and her gang had to collect 5 kilograms of rice. Varun and Shruti guessed second closest and had to collect 6 kilograms of rice each, and Rahul and his gang had to collect 7 kilograms of rice. Varun won the task and got a direct entry into the roadies journey. Prince won full gang immunity, while Rahul came in fourth and was eliminated. Rashmeet and Shruti came second and third and had to challenge one non-immune roadie. Rashmeet won the task against Nikita and entered the roadies journey, while Adil won the task and became immune. Shruti was eliminated. In this task, the gangs had to pair up with another gang to perform the task. Neha paired up with Sandeep while Nikhil paired up with Raftaar. In the task, the teams had to solve one puzzle whose parts were hanging above on ropes and in water. They had to collect them all and solve the puzzle in the water, while one of the opposing gang leaders had a bow and arrows to knock off the rival's puzzle. Team Neha and Sandeep won the task and 3 immunities. Neha gave immunity to Tara and Sandeep gave immunity to Sahibek and Ashish. Based on their choice of preference, both Battleground winners were assigned to their gangs. Arun's first preference was Prince, but since it was full he went with his second preference, Raftaar. Rashmeet, as her first preference, chose Neha and joined them. In the internal gang vote out, Priya Singh, Chetna Joshi, and Nikita Yadav were voted out. In this task, the gang leaders had to guess the answer to the question about the roadies asked by Rannvijay. All the roadies had 3 lifelines. If the gang leaders got the answer right, she could take 1 lifeline of any 2 roadies of other gang. If she got the answer wrong, then she had to take 1 lifeline of 1 roadie from her gang. The roadie whose lifeline stays available until the end of the task would be immune. Correct answer. Wrong answer. Advantage save. All 3 lives lost. The roadies who were immune in the last task go directly into the auction pool. The gang leaders can buy them using Tamils. Prince came first in the last task and received 180 Tamils, Sandeep received 160, Raftaar received 140, Neha received 120 and Nikhil received 100 Tamils to use as bid. The gang leader who bidded highest would take the roadie, but they could only take a maximum of 2 members from their previous team and were allowed no more than 2 boys or 2 girls in one gang. Won the bid. Lost the bid. Full gang. 0 Tamils. Rannvijay started the morning with a vote out where contestants had to nominate a roadie from each gang. Adil from Nikhil, Varun from Raftaar and Sahiba from Sandeep were nominated. Prince's gang had full immunity. Milind from Neha used his real hero band to get immunity. The nominated contestants had to choose 1 member from their team to perform the task, where the contestants had to collect 3 boxes floating in water with the help of a local small boat called Pitaai. Every box contains iron pipes with numbers written on them. Contestants had to bring the boxes to shore and arrange them to satisfy the equation hidden in another box. The team that completed this first would win immunity. Sahiba got 1 disadvantage from Prince, she had to bring 4 boxes. Sahiba and Tara came first and won immunity for themselves. In this task, the roadies had to collect plastic bottles from a dump yard. Only 2 of the bottles contained a treasure map. Using the map, they had to dig and find the treasure. Then they had to protect the treasure from other teams' roadies because they could steal them. Milind and Lakshya got the T-shore. Unsuccessful raid. Successful raid. In the stealing process of the task, Gaurav was injured in his hands, so the task was abandoned. Neha and Nikhil received 2 immunities and the other gangs received 1. Sohil, Milind, Lakshya, Simran, Arun, Ankita, and Ashish received immunity. Rashmeet Kaur was voted out due to a tie in the counter vote off. In this task, the gang leaders had to choose 1 girl and 1 boy roadie from their gang, who would be imprisoned within a cage inside water. The nominated roadies had to compete with each other to come out of the cage. When they came out, they could vote against 1 roadie. The roadie who came out the most of 5 times will got immunity, and the roadie who got the most votes would be voted out immediately. Bidhan and Ankita won immunity by escaping the cage 3 times. Arushi Dutta and Rachel Gupta were eliminated in the battle. In this task, the gangs had to make alliances and perform. So Prince and Nikhil and Neha and Raftaar made an alliance, leaving Sandeep out of this task. In the task, 1 member had to climb 2 walls simultaneously and collect tickets. The second member had to go over a pathway of wooden stumps with only 2 wooden planks to move forward by placing it over 2 adjacent wooden stumps and collecting 1 ticket. The last member would be collecting cans with a magnet. The gang leader would be driving 3 vehicles 1 by 1 to cover the entire task area. There would be hourglasses with all the roadies. Once the gang leader completed a round she could increase the time limit of 1 roadie. The alliance that completed it first would receive 2 immunities. Alliance of Gang Neha and Gang Raftaar won and received 2 immunities, they were given to Milind and Arun. Before this task, all the gang leaders had to name 1 gang whose whole gang they want to be knocked out. With a majority of votes, Sandeep was selected. They had 1 last chance to challenge 1 gang. If they won, they would stay and the other gang would be voted out. They decided to challenge Neha. In this task, 1 roadie had to roll over with an iron rod and collect the keys in the first box. Then they'd have to solve a puzzle and collect keys in the second box. Then they'd have to break 1 obstacle and collect the last keys. After that, they have to arrange the parts of 1 picture which their gang leaders already know. This was a time-based task. Gang Sandeep knocked out Gang Neha. Somalin Chandwani and Sohil Singh were knocked out of the journey. In this task, 1 roadie from each gang had to perform with their gang leaders. The roadie had to shoot bottles with a catapult in a moving car and collect points in 5 minutes. If she completed the phase in time, then she could collect more points by cutting wires. Then she had to climb against a wall and shoot flaming arrows to an assemblage of haystacks kept at different places and had to light them up. The more the roadie hits, the more points they will get. The haystacks which were not lit were not counted. More points will be given for the lit haystack that is nearer to the bottle, provided that bottle had been broken during the catapult run. Neha received the power to block 1 roadie to perform the task. She blocked Tara. Both Padhai and Lakshya got the same number of points, but Padhai won the task due to the times and received a place in the finale. Lakshya got a place in the semi-final. Ashish Bhatia was eliminated for finishing last in the task. Gaurav Thakral was released from the show as his one hand was slightly fractured and he had no chance to participate in either the semi-final or final. Padhai and Lakshya got immunity. Bharg Sethu used her band to get immunity and Padhai used his band for Ankita. Only Yuti, Arun, and Tara were non-immune. Tara Prasad was voted out and Sandeep was out of the game. Neha and Sandeep received a chance to select one roadie and send them to fight against Arun and Lakshya. They chose Tara, so Tara re-entered to perform the semi-final task. In this task all the ex-roadies were invited. They had a chance to vote one roadie to send him, her to the finale. The semi-finalists had to fight with each other and collect flags. Once they got 2 flags they could cancel a vote of another roadie. Ankita won between the female roadies while Arun won against the male roadies and went to the finale. In this task, the roadies had to first climb a rope ladder and reach to the top of a car which would be uplifted by crane. Then they had to collect keys and send the car's number plate to Rannvijay. Then they had to open a box with a code given by Rannvijay and press a buzzer. Then they had to rescue their gang leader and climb a pole to rescue their previous gang members. Then all of them had to come to the finish line with their car. Arun Sharma from Gang Raftaar won the task by completing it in 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Whereas Ankita from Gang Prince completed it in 4 minutes and 53 seconds and became the first runner-up. Padhai from Gang Prince completed it in 4 minutes and 55 seconds and became the second runner-up. Gang Raftaar Arun Sharma, winner. Gang Prince 1. Ankita Patak, first runner-up 2. Padhai Shrestha, second runner-up. Notes. 1. The total votes were counted which resulted in a time 1-1-1, but due to Rashmi having received 10 votes as the majority, she was voted out. 2. Both Roshi and Rachel were voted out in the fight to vote task with only the roadie who escaped the cage would vote. 3. Gang Neha was knocked out in the knockout challenge. 4. As Gaurav was injured during the raid task, Prince considered him as the weakest among others in his gang and decided to release him from the journey. The numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the chart represent the gangs in which the roadies were originally in before the auction. I.E. 1. Prince, 2. Nikhil, 3. Neha, 4. Raftaar and 5. Sandeep. Indicates the contestant was immune that week. Indicates the contestant was in the danger that week. Indicates the contestant was eliminated that week. Indicates the contestant wildcard entry in the competition. Indicates the contestant was eliminated outside vote out that week. Real heroes used their hero immunity. Indicates the contestant is the runner-up. Indicates the contestant won the competition. Note. 1. Instead of Raftaar, his gang was given the power to save any of the roadies in danger and eliminate the votes against him, her. They chose Pooja. So all the votes against her were not counted. 2. The gang leaders except Sandeep voted to block one of the non-immune boys from joining his gang. 3. Neha's vote to block Krishna did not count as he was already voted out. 4. Sohail, being the only contestant remained without a gang, became the Joker, where he would play on any of the gang leader team until he earned his place in a gang or was voted out. It was in episode 19 where he replaced Tarun to join Sandeep gang. 5. There were 2 rounds of vote out. First, the non-immune roadies voted to vote out a roadie, and in the second round the immune roadies did the same but as a replacement for the Joker. 6. Bharg Sethu was unwell so she was absent from that vote out session. 7. This was a triple internal gang vote out. The non-immune roadies nominated a person from within the gang to be voted out. And then the immune gang had the power to save one person from being voted out. 8. This was a gang versus gang vote out, where the gang members would vote for a person from each gang. The roadies in danger battled each other to avoid elimination. 9. Real heroes used their hero immunity, while Padhai used it to save Ankita. 10. Gang Sandeep, being in danger, challenged Gang Neha in sudden death to avoid from being knocked out of the game. References